Okay, folks, today's challenge is to look for the leak in the toilet. Now, normally, I know what I'm doing when it comes to this. This one threw me for a loop. We had a small bathroom. It actually had a shower leak, which we identified, took care of. That's not a big deal. Thought that was the issue, but lo and behold, the carpet just would not dry out. We pulled up the carpet, found out it's getting wet over here. Looked like a toilet leak. Normally you check around the bowl and the tank connection, and absolutely dry. Just ran me crazy. I was thinking, well, maybe the wax ring is bad. Now, those of you who know toilets are laughing at me already. That's okay. What I just figured out is that this is a rear exit toilet. It was put in this particular installation to keep from having to tear up the floor a little bit. And the important thing about that is located the actual source of the leak by just putting a piece of dry paper towel underneath where it seemed to be the wettest, and you can see it's coming from somewhere back there. Now, with a regular toilet, the trap turns and comes down, connects to a pipe going straight into the floor, sealed with a wax ring. You've all been there, done that. This one's a little different. It exits out the back, prevents you from having to cut a hole in your floor and run the pipes under, and if you don't have room, that's a good way to go. But we're going to have to just pull this thing out, take a look at what's leaking. We've got a piece of toilet paper in there just acting as a little siphon to pull the water from that's remaining in the tank. It'll just pull it over the edge. I'm in no hurry. Put a little bottle in there of poopery to keep the valve open. I should have mentioned that, of course, I did turn off the water to the tank before I did that. Now we got to get the water out of the bowl itself. Just use a regular little plumber's helper. Just force it down and around the trap. Alright, and in this case, unlike a lot of toilet repairs, there's really no need to disconnect the tank from the bowl, so I'm just going to leave it connected for now. Having the water out of it, of course, is a big plus. It makes it lighter, so just have to disconnect the supply tube. Okay, remove the plastic caps on the hardware holding the toilet to the wall and to the floor. Okay, I've now got a bowl full of hardware. It's not connected to the floor anymore. It's not connected to the wall. It should just be a matter of wiggling it loose and moving it away from the wall. And then as that happens, I should be able to get a little bit of relief on the, there you go. I got the room I needed. It's fine. And I'll just pull the whole thing straight out. Okay, folks, here's the deal. This toilet was installed, like apparently an awful lot of them are, with a wax ring. Perfectly fine for a floor-mounted flange, which would be down there. And you see I do have another wax ring. However, little research leads me to the conclusion that that is not the right way to seal a floor-mounted toilet. For the reason is, if you put this one in place on the floor, it's just going to be there forever. It's going to be perfectly happy. Nothing is working against it. In this case, heat and heat cycles are going to cause the wax to get soft. It's going to droop. It's going to want to run eventually out of here, and that's exactly what's happened here, folks. And you can see where it's been leaking along the baseboard, consistent with everything we were seeing. So the trick is lose the wax ring, clean it up, get a neoprene or other type of rubber ring to put on here so that we do not have to revisit this in another 20 or so years. Okay, and this is the back. Looks kind of standardish, kind of like a bottom exit toilet, but sideways. So got to clean this whole thing up, get it ready for the new ring. And several nasty minutes later, I've got a bag full of wax and debris and paper towels, and I've been using a disinfectant cleaner to wipe off the mating surfaces, so I believe I've got that clean enough to seal on both sides. Now I just have to find the proper ring to seal it. And here's the solution to our sealing issue. And this seal, which takes the place of the wax ring, goes in, slips over the bolts. It comes with its own bolts. I'm not going to bother replacing these. These worked just fine. And basically the flange on the back of the toilet will just back up to that. It will seal around this surface here. I guess the 3-inch one would actually seal inside here. But basically, a little bit of leftover wax in there is probably going to hold it in place so I can slide the toilet into place and get this thing hooked up. All right. Looks to be centered. It's a little bit of a blind connection, so you just have to hope that it's lined up down there. And I really wish this had a flexible hose on it, make this part a little easier, but it seems to be lining up okay. So go ahead and get the water connected, and I think I will test flush it a couple times before I bolt anything down further, just to make sure I haven't created a leak back there. And it should be pretty obvious if I have. We'll get water flowing immediately out onto the floor. Okay, bolts snugged up on both sides. Water tank full. We're ready to hit the go button, and hopefully we don't see water running out. That is water running out. Okay, lessons learned time. Sometimes universal doesn't really mean universal. Basically what I've found out is that this just really does not want to mate to this tapered area. Now this is for 3 or 4 inch flanges, so this is actually 3.5 inches across. I believe probably 3 inches internally. This should fit. I'm guessing probably if this is mounted on the floor and you're dropping a similar ceramic flange inside here, it's just going to displace it. It's going to seal. It's going to be fine. This is a little different dynamic though on the wall. It's just not going to sit square. It's going to leak. So that's not going to work. So I've gone with a different direction. I went out and I looked at all the possibilities, and I think this is probably my best bet. It essentially does exactly the same thing as a wax ring does, but importantly, it's not wax. It won't melt, it won't run down, it won't start to leak later on. It should fit easily over this flange here. It will back up against this plate, seal all the way around. Just like it ought to. It should be a quick, easy, and $13 fix for my plumbing troubles. And in the meantime, the floor is pretty much dried out again, so I haven't done any major damage, just a lot of aggravation. All right, that took about 10 seconds to install. Just basically take it out of the package, press it into place, make sure it's more or less centered, and it is. The bolts also happily seem to be about exactly the right length for my application. So now I just got to put this whole thing back together again, and I have taking as much water out of the toilet as I can, so hopefully I don't spill it all over the place. Moving it back. Okay, the toilet's back in place, snugged up against the wall. Got it filling. Gonna see if we actually have a seal this time. Pulled down nice and snug. It's very compressed in there, I know. Alright, so this time I'm not going to let it fill up quite as much before I test fire it. Okay, and we got no water. Alright, it's all tightened down. Got the bolts in. I will have to trim off the bolts coming out of the wall. They're just a little bit too long, but I needed every millimeter to get it started, so that was inevitable. And then I'll be able to put the little plastic cap back on. Flushing, not leaking, working like a champ. Now all I got to do is put the carpet in.